Let's talk about how each of these things work. The next section is specifically based around scales. Now, a scale is something we've all heard before. It's that do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. That's a scale. Now, a lot of people talk about scales and they learn scales, but I want to start in sort of a different place. I want to start with, why are scales even important? Why do we need them? Well, what a scale does is it gives us a set of all the right notes for our song. And what I mean by that is any melody we could ever have is just some combination of notes from our scale. I'll say it again, any melody known to mankind is just some pattern of different notes from a scale. So if we learn the scale, we have the tools we need to make melodies. Hey Lorelei. So if our scale is do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, let's just take the first 5 notes, do, re, mi, fa, sol. And that was Beauty and the Beast. Then I come back down, so, fa, mi, re, do. So the melody could even be as simple as walking up the scale for a few notes, then walking back down the scale. And that Katy Perry example from earlier starts on so and walks down to re. So, fa, mi, re, do, mi. And one last melody example could be Journey, Don't Stop Believing. That melody goes like this. Mi, do, re, mi. Do, 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 so, so, mi, re. And all I'm trying to show you with these examples is that every melody is just a pattern of notes from our scale. And on top of that, one really good reason why you want to learn your scales is because they help with your improvisation, your songwriting, and your ear training. So let me show you how that would work. Let's say we're trying to make up a certain song, okay? We're just trying to improvise or songwrite. Well, as long as I stay within a certain scale, it's going to sound good. For example, here's a G scale, and we'll talk about how to make this in a second. But let's say I'm just making some stuff up as I go. I'm improvising, I'm writing a song. Anything I hit is going to sound pretty good until I forget my scale. So let's say I miss this note. Oh gosh, you heard that wrong note there. And that's a wrong note because I didn't stay within the scale. And that's why if we know our scales, we automatically have the ability to find all the quote-unquote right notes. Alright, that was the songwriting and improvisation side of it, but let's talk about ear training. Let's talk about playing songs just by hearing them. Well, let's say hypothetically that you're a singer. Okay, maybe you were in chorus, maybe you've done some vocalizing before, and you have a really good understanding of solfege, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And let's say you want to play Beauty and the Beast, and you can hear, you already know, do, re, mi, fa, sol, so, fa, mi, re, do. But you go to the piano, and all of a sudden you don't know quite how to do that. Maybe I try to figure it out and I get this. No, that's not right. No, okay. What we need to do is use our scale, and we'll automatically be able to get to the right notes. There we go, that sounds better. Now of course you need to know your scales before this can work for you. So let's talk about how to actually make a scale. Let's dive into it. Now, no, you don't just snap and blue stickers magically appear all over the piano. It'd be awesome if it worked that way. But instead what we do is we use 2 things to make our scale. Those are half steps and whole steps. Those are the building blocks. And a half step is just one key to the very next key on the piano. It's the smallest distance you can possibly go. So in other words, from here to here would be a half step. So with this to this, or that to that, or even here to here, that's a half step as well. So what I want you to do, if you're at a piano, you can pause the video and try just doing all half steps. Doesn't have to look pretty. I'm just chicken pecking it right now with one finger. There's a more technical way to do it. But for now, just see if you can do all half steps and get the hang of what those feel like. Then let's talk about whole steps. All a whole step is 2 half steps. Okay, so in other words, if this is my starting note, I'm going to count 1, 2. That's a whole step. Same thing, starting note, 1, 2, that's a whole step. Now check this out, this is important. from here to here, that's only a half step, right? So a whole step would be 1, 2. There's our whole step. So you really want to pay attention and make sure that you're doing 2 half steps for a whole step. Now, again, if you're at a piano and you want to try an all whole tone scale, you would do this. Okay? If you're interested, pause the video and try that out, but let's keep on going. And the way we use these half steps and whole steps to actually make a scale is something that I call the golden scale formula. And here it is. It's whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. And you can write that down if you want to, but that's going to be 2 whole steps, then a half step, 3 whole steps, then a half step. Okay, here's how to apply that. Let's say we're starting on C and we want to make a C scale. So what we would do is we take our starting note and then we go up a whole step, up a whole step, up a half step, then up a whole step, and then I could cross over to my third finger, do another whole step, half step. Alright, so I followed my scale formula and I found out that the C scale is all natural notes. It's all white keys. That one's kind of easy, so let's do another example. Let's say I want to find a G scale. Okay, I'm going to start with G, then I'm going to go up a whole step, then another whole step, half step, whole step, I might cross over here for another whole step, and now check this out, I need a whole step here, so I'm going to go to F sharp, okay, the note right above F, and this is a whole step and half step. So in this case, my G scale has one black key, which is F sharp. And that brings me to the next point. Whenever you do a scale, whenever you go through those whole steps and half steps, it takes a lot of work. So after you figure out your scale, go back and take stock of what you just did. Right? In this case, I'm going to think, okay, my G scale was all natural notes except for F sharp. Right? I make a mental note of that so I don't always have to go back and do whole step, half step. Instead, I'm going to think all white keys until F sharp. Alright, another thing to talk about with our scales is we always want to keep our alphabet intact. I always want A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So here's why I say that. That seems kind of obvious, but let's look at this note right here. Okay, now this could either be A sharp, right, A going up, or it could be B flat, B going down. Well, what decides whether that's A sharp or B flat is the scale that we're using. For instance, if I start on F, F, G, A, B, C. So in this case, that would be B flat, A, B, C. I wouldn't want to say F, G, A sharp, C. That doesn't really make sense. The alphabet isn't A, C, it's A, B, C. Alright, same thing on that G scale we just did. I wouldn't want to call this G flat because we're doing G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. The moral of the story is just keep your alphabet in order and you're going to be fine. Quick side note, if this was like a piano technique video, we would talk more about the technically correct ways to play all these scales, right? What fingers to start on and where to cross under. That would be its own separate video. Today, it's just about understanding the mechanics of how to make a scale. So maybe you're a guitarist, maybe you're a producer, you're someone who doesn't care about playing piano in this technically great way. You can still chicken peck through your scales and find them, even if it's just with one finger. Because now you understand the golden scale formula. That's all you need. Let's do one more scale example to really bring this home. So, if we want to do a D scale, we're going to start on D. We're going to do a whole step, so I'm going to skip over F. I'm going to go 1, 2, then half step, then whole step, here's another whole step, 1, 2, and half step. So my D scale, I had F sharp and I had C sharp. Okay, so I'm going to make a mental note of that so I don't always have to come back and use my scale formula. And I'm going to play it a few times, even if I'm just chicken pecking it. I'm going to make sure that I internalize it on some level. now you know how to make a scale starting on any key on the entire piano. It's always going to be that golden scale formula. Your action step for this module is to use that golden scale formula to figure out your C scale, your G scale, and your F scale. And an optional add-on to that assignment is to try and find every white key scale. Alright, quick section 2 recap here. We learned that scales give us the quote, right notes. We also learned that melodies come from scales, right? Any melody is just some combination of notes from a scale. And then lastly, we also learned how to make scales with the golden scale formula. Alright, let's keep going and let's talk about something new.